Today I want to talk about this UPS, the Tripp Lite pure sine wave gaming UPS. On paper, this thing looks fantastic. Pure sine wave output, RGB lighting, a detachable wireless LCD screen, decent runtime, and a premium warranty. It's clearly marketed as purpose-built UPS for gamers. But after owning two separate units, I'm giving this a 1-star rating. Not because of one small issue, but because of multiple design decisions that, taken together, make this product I simply cannot recommend. My first unit failed in a way that genuinely surprised me. The front LCD panel, which is essential for the UPS to operate, connects internally to the main chassis using a micro USB connector. Yes, a micro USB inside a UPS. Over time, the internal pins on that connector bent. Once that happened, the UPS refused to boot. The unit appears to treat loss of communication with the LCD panel as a safety fault, which means no display connection equals no power output at all. The UPS essentially bricks itself. Alright, so here we have the first unit. This first unit has the micro USB port. It actually connects here. I have it somewhat disassembled. So essentially, the front faceplate would go like this, but because of how bad this was anchored in, it's kind of like at an angle right now from moving around too much. Just to give you some context too, this is essentially how the front faceplate would connect to the UPS unit. So you have to unscrew the screws on the bottom here, which then allows you to take the faceplate off, and then you have this wire harness here that is in front of the battery. And this is what the battery looks like. You basically have two batteries stacked on top of each other they appear to be glued or adhered together, and there's some sort of wiring between the two batteries that connect to the chassis. I arm-made the unit, and here's the important detail. The replacement unit did not use a micro USB. It used a full-size USB Type-A connector instead. That strongly suggests the original design was flawed and quietly revised. Alright, so right here we have the newer one, well, not the newer one, but the replacement one they sent me. And right here you could clearly see that that's USB Type-A. The one I showed you before was micro USB. And right here you could see the protrusion of the USB Type-A. Oh, and I just want to clarify, even if I disconnect this, you can still clearly see that it's operating just fine. I think that there's a battery inside this that needs to be charged through the USB, and once that dies, there's no communication between this display and the main chassis. And when that happens, then the unit will not power anything. Now let's talk about the battery, because this is where the marketing and physical design really diverge. In fine print of the Amazon listing, the UPS is explicitly described as having a field replaceable, hot swappable internal battery. That sounds great, but based on the actual design, this unit does not meet normal industry definition of hot swappable. In practical terms, a hot swappable UPS battery should be replaceable without tools, without disassembly, and without disturbing internal wiring. That's not what happens here. To access the internal battery, you must flip the UPS upside down to remove the screws from the bottom, detach the entire front faceplate, and then move aside a cluster of internal wiring, including RGB harnesses, just to slide the battery pack out. When I attempted this, a wire came loose through no fault of my own. The internal wiring is so tight and fragile that even careful handling risks damage, and repairing it is beyond what most users would reasonably know how to do. Imagine having to do this every time you have to replace the battery. That is not hot swapping. Inside the battery pack consists of two 12-volt sealed lead-acid batteries glued together, wired in series to create a 24-volt system. That configuration is normal for UPS of this size. What isn't normal is how cramped, messy, and risky the process is for an end user. This problem becomes much more serious when you consider battery lifespan. This UPS does not use lithium batteries. It uses sealed lead-acid batteries, which have a typical lifespan of about 3 to 5 years. That's not speculation. That's industry standard. Battery degradation is guaranteed. At the same time, Tripp Lite states that the unit has no user-serviceable parts and discourages disassembly. That creates a contradiction. You can't reasonably advertise on Amazon a battery is field replaceable and hot swappable while designing the product in a way that actively discourages user servicing. In real terms, that means the effective lifespan of the UPS is limited by the battery. Once degradation starts, users are left choosing between a risky DIY replacement, paying out of warranty service, or replacing the entire UPS altogether. For a product marketed as premium protection for expensive gaming hardware, that's a serious issue. There's one more issue that bothered me on both units. When the UPS is turned off but still plugged into the wall, it emits a faint, high-pitched buzzing sound. The noise only stops when the unit is in the on state or in the off state, physically unplugged. This is likely coming from an internal component that remains energized even when the UPS is off, such as a charger circuitry, AMI filtering, or relay components. While that behavior can exist electrically, a properly designed UPS should not produce an audible high-frequency noise in a quiet room when powered off. The fact that both units behaved the same way suggests this is a design characteristic and not an isolated defect. So let's sum this up. On paper, this UPS offers strong specs, pure sine wave output, good runtime, and some genuinely interesting features like RGB lighting and detachable LCD screen. But in reality, it also includes a fragile internal connector that can brick the unit, a quiet mid-cycle hardware revision, battery access that contradicts a hot swappable claim, a battery lifespan that conflicts with non-serviceable design, and audible buzzing even when the unit is powered off. For a device that's supposed to protect expensive equipment, this UPS introduces too many risks of its own. When a product's usable lifespan is dictated by a consumable battery that isn't realistically user serviceable, it stops being an investment and starts being disposable. I returned mine. I cannot recommend it. And that's why this UPS gets 1 out of 5 stars. If this video helped you avoid a bad purchase, consider liking it so others can see it too. And if you are looking for a UPS, I do recommend one that is genuinely user serviceable and designed with long-term ownership in mind. I've got a video on a UPS that does things the right way. You can check out that video on the screen right now. If you want more honest, real-world UPS reviews and breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe because I'll be covering more UPS units in the future videos.